postdoc at MIT with Chris Walsh, where he identified the earliest examples of cellular receptors for metal ions that regulate gene expression. About a decade later, he discovered and characterized a second class of metal receptors that govern the flow of metal into and out of cells. These discoveries have since led to novel metal-based anti-cancer compounds, some of which are currently in clinical trials. More recently, Dr. O'Halloran and his colleagues have discovered that fluctuations in metal ion concentration control fundamental developmental decisions in bacteria and also in disease-causing parasites. His team has also demonstrated an important role for fluctuations in intracellular zinc in the fertilization of mammalian eggs. I'm very pleased and proud to be able to say that NIGMS has supported Dr. O'Halloran's research since he joined the faculty at Northwestern in 1986. And now, I'd like to introduce Dr. O'Halloran and his talk entitled Elements of Health and Disease, Inorganic Fluxes and Metal Receptors that Control Cell Fate Decisions. Thank you very much, Tom.
It's a great honor to be here today and to try to follow in the footsteps of both Dr. Seddon as well as the previous lecturers in the series. And really excited to tell you about some of the discoveries that have come over the years from our laboratory. And I'm going to take a very kind of classic view of the periodic table. And I want you to realize there are many examples on top of what I'm going to highlight, but I'm going to try to run through a series of arguments that keep expanding the question of how does nature make decisions, and how does it use the inorganic components of the cell to make those decisions. So inorganic chemistry, I feel, is poised now to really make major contributions in understanding processes such as proliferation and apoptosis, programmatic cell death, the decisions to go to a senescent state or to be stem-like and be pluripotent. Fluctuations in metal ions, I believe this is one of the areas in the future that we're going to see a lot of work. I'm not going to talk about those things today. I'm going to talk about some of the fundamental background, the way we have started to change our thinking about how elements in the periodic table are used in living systems. After all, the word inorganic really stems from the Latin for not living. And so inorganic molecules should in fact not be playing major roles in biology. But I think, as many of you realize, that this definition is certainly not so useful, and in fact has held us back for many years in thinking more broadly about the elements of life. I'm going to ask you to think with me and imagine how to look and peer into a cell and figure out where these different metal ions are. And in fact, many of them have about the same kind of charge radius ratio. They're small specks compared to the larger biopolymers. So how can we follow their movements in the cell and then understand how they might play a role in making the cellular decisions? And then ultimately, our interest is to take and translate these discoveries and apply them to really relieving human suffering and improving health. And while that's not the primary focus of my lecture today, I do have vignettes that just show how ideas emerging from basic science research can really transform the trajectory as we think about diseases. So we have to go back to general chemistry, to Chemistry 101, and this is really our Rosetta Stone of nature. The periodic table has such an extraordinary amount of information and relative cross-correlation